Hey baes, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Alexandra. On today's video, we are going to be talking about something that everyone experiences throughout their lock journey, and that is frizz. Now in this video, I'm going to break down what frizz is, what a normal amount of frizz is, and what's some red flags that you need to be looking out for in terms of frizz being problematic, and then what are some best practices and things that you can integrate into your lock routine to help mitigate and manage frizz. So first and foremost, just to jump right into things, what is actually frizz, right? So if you are somebody that's in your starter lock phase, this is definitely something that you are going to experience, because in your starter lock phase, you have a lot of hairs that have not locked yet, right? They're in that locking stage, and as your hair begins to lock over time, there's always going to be a consistent cycle of your new growth, which is your loose hairs, and then the rest of your hair, which is already locked. Now when it comes to frizz are going to be flyaways, they're going to be soft hairs. These are going to be loose hairs that have not married or integrated into your actual lock yet. So a lot of times you'll see much of the frizz kind of contained towards like the root of your hair, which is normal, right? Because this is new growth combined with hairs that have not actually locked yet. Now you may see some of it going down like the shaft of your lock, especially if you're somebody that maybe has a softer, looser hair texture, but for the most part it's really going to be present towards your root. You're definitely going to see frizz in your starter lock phase. If you're somebody that has two-strand twists, for example, and I can speak for myself because that's how I started my locks. During the first couple of months, when you wash your hair, you're going to see frizz. You're going to see loose hairs. You're going to see hairs that have just not married into the lock yet, because your hair is still in the locking process. Now for myself, I've been locked for 3.5 years, and frizz is still definitely something that I experience. It's not a crazy amount as to how it was when I was in my starter lock phase, but it's something I do experience. So I washed my hair yesterday, and I put my hair into a few braids and took it down today, and I have this beautiful kind of wavy lock braid out. But if you were to go very close to my root, you will see that I have some hairs that are kind of sticking up, because those are hairs, those are loose hairs that have not married into my actual lock, especially in my crown area. I have some here. Now if frizz is a normal part of the lock process, how do you know what's a normal amount of frizz versus what's an amount of frizz that you kind of need to be like, okay, this is a problem? Red flags when it comes to frizz is that you're going to see a lot of frizz, but also thinning at your roots. So that is a problem. At that point, you have to really assess, is this even frizz or is this actual breakage? Are my hairs actually breaking apart? So that's where you would have to look out for things such as your locks actually thinning at your actual roots and such. One thing that you can do to kind of help mitigate that is take a break maybe from retwisting your hair. Maybe you are retwisting your hair too often, or maybe you're retwisting it too tightly, or maybe you are doing too many styles and manipulating your locks too much, and it is causing a great amount of tension on your locks and causing tension on your roots, which is causing the hairs to break apart. Usually for the most part, you can really control frizz by like tying your hair down. So if you are tying your hair down at night and you're waking up in the morning and you still have just like this excess amount of frizz, no matter what you do, then that's something you definitely want to look out for in terms of a red flag. Now, some things that you can actually just be doing in your day-to-day life that may be adding to frizz is the element of having your locks constantly being rubbed up against something. So for example, right, hats and hoodies. You take it off, of course, those loose hairs that already have not married into the lock are going to be pulled out even more, right? Because you're kind of doing, you're basically taking your hair and going like this to it. So that is going to contribute to frizz, but also you want to be mindful of the materials in which you are using on your lock. So for example, I sleep with a satin scarf on my locks at night, as well as this satin lined lock cap. And this is not going to cause any frizziness, because satin is always going to help, satin and silk is going to help kind of keep your hair moisturized. It's not going to dehydrate your hair or take away moisture the way that a material like cotton would, or even wool, which is like one thing that you definitely want to stay away from when you have locks, right? Or even just like loose natural hair in general, wool can greatly be abrasive and rub against your hair and cause breakage over time. Now, another element that can also cause frizz too is dryness. Maybe your hair is in need of some hydration, and this is why it is very important to pay attention to your hair. Pay attention to how it looks and also how it feels. Does it feel dry? Does it look dry? Incorporate things such as light mist using water or rose water throughout the week on your hair. You don't even have to mist your hair every single day. I used to mist my hair every single day early in my starter lock journey, but now I realize I can actually go like every other day with just lightly spritzing my hair with rose water. Hydration is very important. Then you always want to make sure that after you add hydration in, that you are sealing that in with a lightweight oil. Lightweight oils can include things such as jojoba oil. There is sweet almond oil, avocado oil. You can even use castor oil. Castor oil is a little bit thicker, but I actually enjoy using castor oil on my locks mixed with sweet almond oil, which is a little bit of a lightweight oil, and some essential oils during the winter time, just to give me that nice balance of my locks being hydrated and then sealing it in with a really rich oil. And then always make sure that you are, once again, tying your hair down at night with a silk scarf and a bonnet. This is going to help keep those hairs down, those loose hairs. It's going to keep it down and encourage them to once again marry and integrate into that lock. Outside of hydrating your locks and sealing it in with oil, you also want to make sure that you are setting the foundation for a healthy scalp. You want to make sure that you are washing your scalp and you're integrating a clarifying shampoo as well as a moisturizing shampoo. Again, a lot of the issues that people face when it comes to their locks are always 9 times out of 10 rooted back to the fact that their hair is dry. Yes, locks are a very low manipulation way of keeping and maintaining your hair, and you don't have to do a lot, but one thing that you do want to do is make sure that you're keeping your scalp clean and your locks hydrated and keeping up with an actual routine. So for myself, I wash my locks every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I wash my locks with a moisturizing shampoo, and then I retwist my locks every 4 to 5 weeks. And on the days where I'm going to retwist my hair, I use a clarifying shampoo. A clarifying shampoo helps me to prevent and get rid of any product buildup, but that moisturizing shampoo is going to give me a balance of keeping my hair moisturized. Water is always going to be your best friend when it comes to locks, so don't be afraid of keeping your locks and your scalp clean by shampooing, but also going in and lightly spritzing your hair throughout the week with oil and or rose water, and then sealing it in with an oil. That is going to keep your hair moisturized and prevent frizz from forming. Now, is frizz ever going to be something that is going to stop at some point during the lock journey? No. It definitely is something that's more present in your starter lock phase for the obvious reasons that I explained earlier, but it's not something that you're never going to experience. It's going to come with having locks, and it's honestly just best to have routines in place to ensure that you are controlling the frizz, but also practicing healthy routines and maintenance methods that are going to prevent your hair from actually, one, breaking and thinning over time. Do you have to cut away these flyaway hairs? Absolutely not. Do not pick up a scissor and cut them off. Again, those loose hairs will eventually integrate into your locks over time, so leave them be. You don't want to cut them off, because the only thing you're doing is cutting off hair that would be going into the lock, and as a result, if you do that, then it's only going to lead to a weak shaft, right? You see my locks from root all the way down, they have the same kind of uniformity, this same thickness. And yes, at my root there is some frizziness going on. I have some flyaway hairs, nothing crazy, just a little bit. When I retwist my hair, I'm literally taking those loose hairs and twisting it around and encouraging them to integrate. So as long as your hair is growing from your scalp, there is the likelihood that you're going to have a few hairs that are going to grow outside of the lock, and you're encouraging them to grow and go in toward the lock by retwisting it and by keeping up with your maintenance methods, okay? So again, you guys, frizz is all a part of the process, and honestly, I've actually grown to really love frizz. I don't know, it's just something about like not having that perfect retwisted look that really does it for me every single time when I do my hair. I love how my hair looks on days like this where I'm in between retwists and I wash it and I do a braid out. And again, you can do things like this to also help manage some of the frizz that you're experiencing, right? So like doing braid outs are a great way. It's first of all a great low manipulation style to do, but it's also a great way to kind of manage some of that frizz. I installed these braids right after I washed my hair. So again, what I'm doing is taking my hair and immediately as they're drying, putting them into a braid and kind of encouraging it to kind of lay down and go into these plaits. And when I take them out, you know, my frizz is a little bit managed at my roots. It doesn't look as, you know, frizzy. But once I go ahead and wash my hair, you'll see some of those loose hairs kind of come more to the forefront. And then when I retwist my hair, you know, I'm encouraging it to go back into the lock. So it's honestly just a cycle that you have to keep up with. But definitely just make sure that you are monitoring the amount of it to ensure that it's not a level of frizz that's probably leading towards a path of like breakage, okay? So that was today's video, you guys. If you enjoyed this, definitely give it a thumbs up. Show me some love in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.